first thing that you want to do is create a base for it to lay on so you don't hurt yourself when you're cutting it. Use a sharp knife, don't be scared. The sharper the knife, the better it is, because if it's a dull blade, you're going to try to cut it harder and you're more likely to cut yourself. So we're just going to cut off the end and then use a grip on one hand, a little bit more, and then cut off each side, just the bottom edge of it. So then that way, you can easily stand it up like that, and it's not rolling all over the place. It's not going to fall on the floor. You're not catching knives and juggling oranges here. It makes it easier for yourself. So you have the orange standing on its base, and then to cut the rind off, you just want to hold the top with your fingers and kind of push down, and then slice each from top to bottom, and just follow the curves of the orange and go all the way around just to get all the orange rind off. Just keep twisting it around. Make sure your fingers don't get in the way of the knife. And step number 2. Okay, grab the orange, put your hands on the bottom of it, hold it, and then just slowly, very slowly, you don't have to work too quick. You just want to take off any of that orange pith because that's chewy. You don't want to eat that part. So just go all the way around until most of it is pretty much all the way off. So then that way when you get it nice and clean, you'll be able to segment the orange. Okay, so then you want to grab a bowl because all the juice is going to be falling out from the orange. You don't want to lose that. So make sure you get a bowl. Get your orange, and then grab a paring knife, just a simple basic knife. They're like 12 bucks at a cooking store, really cheap. Then you're going to go along each membrane and then just cut into it so you release it. Fold back the membrane, and then you can even pull it with your hand a little bit too, but just make sure you don't, whoops, way to go. Just make sure that you don't cut yourself with the knife because that's going to hurt a little bit. A lot of people are intimidated to work with a pomegranate just because they're really hard to cut up, and the seeds and the pith inside of it, it's all messy and it stains everything. So here's pretty much a foolproof way to do it. You kind of do it the same way you do the oranges. So I would definitely suggest you take a paper towel, put it on your cutting board because the pomegranate will stain anything that it gets into contact with, especially your clothes too, so be careful. And we want to make a base for this again, so turn it on its side, cut off the bottom, and then turn it around and cut off the top. Step number 1, easy enough. Turn the guy over. Okay, and I swear to God, this is like the easiest way to cut this thing. I know it's a pain, but best way to do it. So we're going to take the pomegranate that's standing on its side and then cut it into like 4 quarters basically, because then we're going to put it under water. So just basically slide down the side, and see, I'm not even doing it thick, just a little cut so that it's easier for you to pull the pieces apart, and you don't have to go all the way through to this pith right here, just a little bit into the skin, and then just go all around the whole entire pomegranate and do it. So then that way we're going to throw it under water and then clean out the seeds, and then we'll be able to separate them from the pith. Makes it a little bit easier. Then you want to get a big bowl, fill it with cold water, and this is going to make it easier for you to separate the pomegranate, because then that way the juices aren't flying everywhere, the seeds aren't flying everywhere. You know how crazy that can get. So just drop the pomegranate in, and it helps that we segmented it. So we're just going to peel it apart at the places where we sliced. And it's so much easier to do it in water than to try to do it in a paper towel. I remember the first time I cut it, it was all over the kitchen. It was driving me nuts. I was like, I'm never going to eat one of these things again in my life. Then just take out the seeds, if you guys can see how I'm doing that, peeling it away from the pith. So don't worry about if there's still some pith left in it. Just try to get it, as well as you can. And then we're going to put it through a strainer so we separate all that nasty stuff from the good stuff, the pomegranate seed. One good thing about the pith on the pomegranate is that it's all going to float to the top when you put it in the water. So all you have to do is just take a slotted spoon, and then you can just simply strain it that way. That's going to be your garbage. And then you can always go back in with a colander and then strain the pomegranate a second time if you just want to be sure. But look how nice and clean that comes out. I mean, there's barely any pith in it, and that's really just from me putting it in the water, just going around and just picking everything out. And honestly, it really took me like 2 minutes to do. So it's not as bad and time consuming as you think to cut up a pomegranate. Pretty easy. The dressing has 4 really simple ingredients. I just have 1 ancho chili pepper that was reconstituted. If you saw my other video, then you know what I'm talking about. And then we have a mix of salt and pepper, juice of 1 lime, and then 3 tablespoons of olive oil. We're going to put everything together in the blender. And really simple ingredients, but really, really good. And don't substitute anything for the ancho because it gives it this nice sweet, but a little bit spicy flavor. Everything into the blender or the food processor. throw the top on if I can get it on. I need to build up my muscles. And then bring it all together. So the hardest part is done, all the prep work, you're ready to mix the salad together. I'm going to take my oranges here, and I just did 2 oranges, and as you saw, you guys could tell how I segmented them. You can cut them out smaller if you want to, but I think they're good that way. And then I'm going to put in some jicama, and jicama is basically, the texture is kind of like an apple, but it has a potato-ish taste, I guess I'm going to say, and it's called a Mexican potato. You can only get them if they're smuggled through the borders. I'm just kidding. Mexican potato. Sorry, I just had a moment there. And then you're going to have, God, I lost my train of thought. Then you're going to put in some cilantro, and that's mixed with a little bit of chives. You could use scallions, but I've been cooking with them a lot lately. I kind of needed a break, so a little bit of chives and a little bit of cilantro. Throw that in. It adds a nice color, a little pop of color, and then it also adds a good flavor too. Then we're going to put in our pomegranates, and that's the arrows of just that one pomegranate that we did up real quick. Then, of course, the dressing. Now, the dressing is a little strong, so you don't have to use the whole thing that you made there. Just put a little bit of it on, then mix it together and taste it. I'll grab my spoon over here. Mix everything together, and then taste for flavors. You can add salt and pepper. Like I say, you can always add stuff in. If you put too much, you're kind of screwed, but if you put less than what's expected, then that's good. You can always go back and change it. There goes your simple salad. It's really colorful. It doesn't take long to make it all, and I hope you guys like it. Let me know if you do. Thanks.